Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Mackay T Podcast. Here are your hosts, Ryan Mackay and T Davis.
This is the Mackay T Show. This is the Mackay T Show. We talk movies and TV shows, sports and world news, coasting like on a world cruise. Hosted by Brian Mackay and T Davis. Yeah, you can't tame us. We're going to the top, we're becoming famous.
What time is it?
It's time for the Mackay T Show.
What time is it?
I said it's time for the Mackay T Show.
Welcome back to the Mackay T Show podcast. NFL playoffs, wild card weekend has come and gone. It saw the first game on Saturday be an absolute blowout, with the team that won having the quietest winning streak in the NFL right now. The second game that night saw a team basically implode upon itself with stupidity and get penalized all the way to a loss. Sunday's game saw a freezing cold Minnesota-Seattle battle that came down to a field goal that went wide left. And then in the last game of the night, we had a Green Bay team finally find itself, it seems, in the second half against Washington, where they just scored touchdown after touchdown. It was like what people have been waiting on all year from them. But let's go back to the first game. We had Kansas City and Houston. Kansas City won the game 30-0. They're on an 11-game winning streak after starting the season 1-5. Alex Smith was 17 of 22, 190 yards, one touchdown, one interception. On Houston's side, Brian Hoyer, who managed to stay in the whole game. I thought at some point they might make a change when, he was just throwing the game away. But he was 15 of 34, 136 yards, and 4 interceptions. Kansas City will move on to play New England. With New England's injuries going on right now, I think Kansas City has a good shot to take them. Depends on what Jeremy Maclin's status is. Is he healthy? I mean, he had a high ankle sprain, is what the report says. So, don't know what his status will be for the game. But I mean, Andy Reid is a great coach. He's gonna have a good game plan. It's gonna be interesting to see if they can go into Foxborough and get the Patriots.
They probably will. We don't see them lose to the Jets. We don't see them lose to Miami. Like you said, Kansas City on the road, they believe in themselves. Alex Smith is taking care of the ball, not, making mistakes, not trying to be the hero. And that's pretty much all you need to do. If they defense show up, they'll be fine.
Yeah. In the late game that Saturday, we had the Pittsburgh Steelers defeating the Cincinnati Bengals 18-16. This game was marred by, a classic Steelers-Bengals game where you got a bunch of penalties, bunch of, jawing back and forth, pushing and fighting and brawling. And I'm not excluding Pittsburgh from this. They had their own, their coach was, pulling a Bengals player that, was coming on the sideline. They had a offensive coach kind of pull him by his dreadlocks and push him out the way. And he was flagged for. They got a Joey Porter, who used to play for the Steelers as linebackers, now as linebackers coach. He was flagged for running on the field. But on Cincinnati's side, their penalties just did them in. At the end, there was a play right toward the end. Game is 16-15. Cincinnati's ahead. Got everything going in their way. Just a couple minutes left. Big Ben has already been knocked out the game once. His back, but he can't throw the ball outside 5-10 yards because of his shoulder. So
well, that's better than Treon Harris. Oh, I'm sorry.
So we they got everything going their way. All they got to do is stop them. And there's a pass across the middle to Antonio Brown. Throws it, misses the pass. Pass is incomplete. Vontez Burfict, who is an all-out thug in my estimate, just by his actions, just in the Steelers games this year. He dives. I mean, just clearly targeting Antonio Brown, gets him on a head-to-head hit. Obviously, he gets flagged for it. Adam Jones, who honestly has been a peacemaker all throughout the game, he went back to his Pac-Man persona at this point and just started berating the officials for calling, the head-to-head contact and the targeting penalty. It just goes nuts. So he gets flagged. So it wound up being about 30, 40 yards worth of penalties, which led to Pittsburgh kicking a field goal and winning the game. So Pittsburgh will be playing Denver next week in the divisional rounds. Don't know what this means for Bengals coach Marvin Lewis. Yes, don't know what this means for him. He's 0-7 as the head coach of the Bengals in the playoffs. With all the publicity they're getting right now for the negativity, I don't know if that's going to be what does him in. It could be happening as we speak. I'm sure by the time we get off the air today, they would have come down with some kind of judgment. That usually happens on Mondays at the playoff games.
Well, he probably get fired, but I don't know why, because the grass ain't greener. It ain't like it's like a bunch of coaches out there waiting to be. I mean, it's people that want to be head coaches, but you're not going to find like great head coaches. So you might as well stick with what you got.
I would have loved for them to been able to have Andy Dalton in this game. Just off the fact that, he has been there all these years with Marvin Lewis. They've had their struggles. Just would have been nice to see if they could have pulled it out with him at quarterback. A.J. McCarron did a fine job, but it just, he wasn't the starter. If Andy, it would have been nice to see him finally get one if he could have. Let's see. We're switching over to Sunday. We had the Seattle Seahawks, Minnesota Vikings in temperatures that I'm like, Booger McFarland was on Mike and Mike this morning, and he was talking about.
Hold on. Your name is Booger. I'm uncomfortable. But go ahead.
So he's on Mike and Mike this morning, and he talks about, everybody calling that football weather, where it's -3 degrees.
That's not football weather.
And he said, no, that is not football weather. I'm from the South. He said, no, football weather is 86. He said 86 and sunny.
Oh, no, he tripping.
And so they had a big discussion about that. But yeah, it was very cold. You could see that in pregame when, they showed Adrian Peterson coming into the game, and he was just smoke, which is coming out of his mouth walking into the stadium.
That's crazy. Like, I just walked in. I don't even know. I know it got to 18 or something here last night, and I just walked in, and I was walking pretty briskly, and I was like, "Nah, I could be sitting out in this. I don't know what people think."
Well, this was I mean, clearly the weather had something to do with it, but it was a very defensive struggle. Score wound up being 10-9. Minnesota had their chances. Let's see, there was a moment where Russell Wilson had a botched snap and wound up going back about 25, 30 yards. They could not tackle him. He wound up scrambling and completing the pass to Tyler Lockett for about 25-yard gain. So, it wound up being flip-flop. What could have been -20-something wound up being positive.
That's when the coaches tell you every play count.
Right. And in I think it was very next possession, Adrian Peterson winds up fumbling. What could have been a heck. They were on a nice drive. They had a bunch of nice drives in this game. Minnesota did. What could have wound up being a very nice drive was negated because Seattle forced the fumble. Cam Chancellor coming up behind Peterson and knocking the ball loose. And then it ultimately climaxed at the end with.
I don't know, but tell Peterson, if you're going to talk about Lynch ain't the best running back or some little statement he made, you can't be fumbling in the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
No, well, it ultimately all came to a head at the end when Blair Walsh, the kicker for Minnesota, seemingly had the equivalent of a field goal. Not extra point. Just a chip shot. I think it was 25, 26 yards.
And the Michigan kicker, the spirit of the Michigan kicker got in it.
And he kicks it as wide left as you can possibly go. And it just, the look on people's faces, like they could not believe it. It was wide, it was straight on. And when they showed a replay, for anyone that's seen Ace Ventura, you will understand this. They showed a replay, the ball comes, the holder can't, I guess his hands are probably frozen to death. He couldn't spin the ball, so the ball laces in. And, the whole deal with Ace Ventura with Ray Finkel of Miami laces out.
When he missed the kick.
Laces out. He had the laces in, so I'm sure that had something to do with it. It's sad because Blair Walsh, fantasy kicker for my team, go Blair. He had a very nice year. He was perfect coming into that kick on the day, and he took all the blame after the game, which I didn't necessarily think he had to, because it wasn't all his fault. It wasn't
all his fault, but you're not on the field a lot, and
you had one job.
Right, you don't have but a couple of times to do your job. Please be prepared.
So the evening game saw seemingly red hot Washington Redskins team coming up against a not so hot Green Bay Packers team. Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, first half they played like they've been playing for the past 10 weeks. They was sloppy. There was no cohesiveness. Couldn't get a pass completed to save his life. There was no movement on the field. Kirk Cousins was rolling like he's been rolling. Second half, different story. Aaron Rodgers is like he just flipped a switch. Came out and was like gangbusters and threw a couple touchdowns and wound up being somewhat of a rout, 35-18 against Washington.
Well, Washington ain't really good. They've had a good season considering all the turmoil with their quarterback and all that, stuff with with the RG3, whatever his name is. And so Cousins, he excited about, finally getting on the field, starting and finding some success. But, he's still new to the game as far as playoffs concerned. Like, it ain't like he's been to a bunch of playoff games where he's been starting. And they'll be better next year, I suspect.
Yeah. So in the NFC, that brings the divisional matchups as Green Bay against Arizona Cardinals and Seattle traveling to Carolina to play the Panthers. I think that's for.
Okay, so that's what you really wanted, was to see Seattle.
Right.
And the Panthers.
All right, we got what we wanted. So it was like God was smiling on us with that kick.
That was the Michigan kicker. The spirit of the Michigan kicker got into that part. But I look forward to. I don't know that I'm gonna see the game unless it's on ABC or something. But I look forward to at least watching the highlights of the game at some point. It might be on. It should be on a major network, right? Or no? Is ESPN gonna have it?
I don't know. I don't even know if they come out.
ESPN be having everything else. They got like everything. So anyway,
that is a great transition into our next topic, as the BCS National Championship game is tonight. We got number 1 Clemson and number 2 Alabama, and ESPN is televising it in what is being called the MegaCast, where it will be covered 14 different ways by ESPN Network.
Espanol.
So you got ESPN, who obviously will have the standard broadcast. ESPN2 will have what is being called Film Room, which Brian Greasy and Chris Spielman will be breaking down the game from multiple angles with Florida coach Jim McElwain and
Coach Mac.
And other additional guests that include Dan Mullen from Mississippi State, Pat Narduzzi.
Oh, he was a guy that one time. Go ahead.
And Mike Riley. And then we got ESPN Radio, which would be the standard broadcast for radio. ESPN News will have ESPN Voices. This is just a bunch of people, some of who pay attention to college football, watching watching the game together. So basically, I don't know. It doesn't say who's going to be on there, but
we should have tried to get in on that.
We should have. ESPNU will have the Homer broadcast. This broadcast will feature different former players watching the game together. Joe Tessitore will host former Clemson quarterback Taj Boyd and former Alabama center Barrett Jones watching the game. Nobody cares about either one. Anyway, moving on. SEC Network will have the Feinbaum Film Room, which is probably where I'm going to find myself watching the game most of the time. I really like this from last year. Feinbaum will host a show with analysis from Greg McElroy, Tease Boy Booker McFarland, and Arkansas coach Brett Bielema. They'll have live call-ins from fans, and if anyone who knows the Feinbaum show, he has some of the wildest fans call into his show. It's almost like you can't believe it's not staged, the way these people call in.
Yeah, because they crazy. Mm-hmm. And let me go back and say, I thought you said that man's name was Booger.
Booger.
It is Booger.
Yes, as in Booger.
Oh, no. That's so sad.
And I
was hoping I misheard and that you were saying Booker.
No. Booger.
Oh.
Booger.
And if you're a grown man, you should probably just get that changed. But anyway, they doing too much. This game, they're going to be disappointed now. It's going to probably be close for a little while, and then Alabama defense going to figure it out, and it could be like, let's just go to the other station and forget watching the game and see what people are saying.
Right. Just to finish up, ESPN Classic will have sounds of the game, live broadcast with all natural sounds and no announcers. You can also watch this on ESPN3.
Oh yeah, that's probably what I would want, because the announcers are getting on my nerves sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes you just want to put the volume down
just
on
put the mute on and just be like, let me just watch this. I really don't need you to say anything.
And then the ESPN Goal Line will have a command center view, which is a split-screen telecast with live game action, immediate replays of every play, isolated camera feeds of both head coaches, enhanced statistics, real-time drive charts, and the ESPN radio broadcast. ESPN Deportes will obviously have it in the Spanish call, and then got all the ESPN3 stuff we've already talked about. Yeah, so this should be very overdone.
Yeah, that's gonna be a bit much. But
yeah.
Hopefully, all the Tide and the Clemson fans enjoy it, because I won't be paying that much attention, to be honest. Yeah, I'll probably be asleep not too long into that.
Yeah, I imagine you by halftime you'll be well in the REM sleep.
Yes, hopefully the REM has kicked in, and when all y'all other slugs are asleep, I'm getting up bright and early. Praise the Lord if He wake me up.
Yes, indeed.
4:10.
Well, that was going to bring us to our first break. On the other side, we'll get into a little NCAA basketball talk. Talk a little bit about the SEC men's and women's teams and in their first 2 weeks of the season, first week of the SEC play, and then talk about the opening of the Pavilion at Ole Miss. But we'll get into that and more on the other side. This has been the Mac and T Show.
What time is it? What time is it?
Welcome back to the Mac and T Show podcast. The Pavilion at Ole Miss opened its doors this past weekend. First official game being Thursday night when the men's basketball team at Ole Miss took on the Alabama Crimson Tide and wound up winning that game, as well as they won their game on Saturday against Georgia in spectacular fashion with Stephon Moody scoring with a couple of seconds left on the clock. And the women's team took on Florida yesterday.
Go Gators. I'm sorry.
So they wound up losing that one. But the Pavilion, you got a chance to check it out yesterday. What are your thoughts on it?
It's a really nice facility. I don't think they're actually all the way complete because, or maybe just one of the restaurants that is going to be in there is closed. I like when you walk into the main entrance. Right as soon as you walk in, there's a steak and shake, and then there's an eatery area, and then they have areas where you can just stand and watch the game, and they have these little. They almost like little iPads. Obviously, they attached to the bar, or whatever you want to call it,
right?
Where you can go on the internet or whatever. Well, I guess if the game get boring, otherwise, I don't know why you should be up there playing on the internet. But maybe you can send your kids up there and let them do stuff while you watching the game. Because they had quite a few of them, and I was like, "This is really cool, but why should you be on the internet while the game going, even at halftime? Oh, let me go check my email." That's why people have it on their phone. But the facility is nice. They got what was it? Some kind of club. I suspect it's closed off during the men's game because you can sit and eat and chat, and they had like a buffet set up where it's my understanding that you could have paid yesterday to have lunch, or not lunch, pregame with the girls. And I think that's why all that food was I saw. But it's got little couches, nice plush couches.
Okay.
You can stand around and talk and still see the court. It's almost like a box seat for basketball. It's a nice facility.
As far as like history wise, do they have anything with about the past teams, past history?
Well, I didn't pay a lot of attention because one, I didn't need to walk all the way around, but the part that I did walk around, it's an area with like some, first team All Americans and all of that. And I'm not sure if they have a section for like NCAA appearances, because in the tag pad they did, and I don't know why you wouldn't put that in the gym in the main area, because people not necessarily gonna walk around. I guess people that's Ole Miss fans will, but when you have visitors or whatever, they not gonna walk around looking for stuff. It almost reminded me of anybody that's been in Vanderbilt's gym. When you walk around that, they have like big pictures, and then it'll say this person was an All-American, did this, that, and the other.
Right.
They have some of that on the walls. Obviously, it's a little fancier than what Vandy has, but it's like that on I can't even give you some kind of direction.
Well, you say you talk about the Vanderbilt walls, and then when I was talking to you on the phone yesterday, you talked about it being kind of similar to the O'Connell Center.
Yeah, so when I walked in and I looked down on the court, the first thing I thought was, this is the Stephen C. O'Connell Center. Like, it's just an upgrade because the court looked really small, because when they pull out, like how far the bleachers come out, I didn't go onto the court to see if it looked, because Florida's court looks super like you playing in a little box. It's not as condensed as that. But that was my first thought, was this looked like the O'Connell Center. But it's way better, obviously, than the Tad Pad, and everybody that I spoke to and greeted and everything, because they invited the alumni and staff for women's basketball and back, and they was like, "Oh, I never realized how dark it was in the Tad Pad until I came here."
Yeah. Because
the Tad Pad, the reason we knew it was dark is because when you shoot video, you be like, dang. And you get other people's video, you be like, yeah, it's dark.
Yeah, that's one thing. Candace Parker did the telecast yesterday, and she brought up that fact that in practice the day before, the players for Ole Miss were saying, wow, it's really, really bright in here. And Candace in her mind was laughing, and she said, yeah, no, that's how places are supposed to look. It's supposed to be like that.
But I would say that a part of what was good about the Tad Pad was because it was a lot different. Like, and being in that dim light, which gives you a little bit of a advantage, and the fact that but it didn't seem to give us too much of advantage because I always thought all the time that we got to practice on the court that it would give us more of an advantage, especially shooting wise. But then they would come out. Some games they would shoot well, some games not so much. So I don't know if that's a function of having a new basketball practice facility, the TUI Center, or TUI, whatever they call it. But and they practice more in the practice facility than on the main court.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if they have any practices on besides having the shoot arounds on the main court.
I'm sure. Like I know. We always, when I was there, we would, we'd have our couple of practices during the week at the BPF, and then the day before the game, we'd practice over at Tad Smith. And then shoot around the next day would be at Tad Smith. But as far as the Pavilion, I think this is going to be great for both. I mean, kudos to Ross Bjork, AD at Ole Miss, and to Andy Kennedy and Matt Henson and their staffs. They have a great place it's going to be great for recruiting. I mean, you saw that with evidence just in the 3 games that opened up the thing. You had last Thursday and Saturday were men's games, and behind the men's team bench, you saw all these recruits that were there to witness it, which I'm sure they plan to have them there on that weekend. Same thing with Matt Henson when the women's game, they had their recruits there as well. It's going to be great for them to see, because it's a lot. I mean, there were times where we would have recruiting visits where we really didn't even want to show them the Tad Smith Coliseum. I mean, I can remember that.
Now, this is what I need to go be able to see. I would try to get somebody to take me to the locker room, because I don't know how nice the locker rooms are. I suspect they're really nice.
Right.
They did some upgrades and put the wood lockers and everything in the tab pad ones, and you could only do so much just because the space was so small. But the bottom line is, facilities gonna only take you so far. You can show me how nice you are, but if you're not winning, I mean, I don't know how much that's gonna affect recruiting, especially for the girls.
Yeah. Look, I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to touch on it. Like I said, you saw the recruits sitting behind the benches, and at the men's game Thursday and Saturday, you saw 2 sellout crowds. You didn't see that on Sunday with the women's game, and this is something that I have been outspoken about, not just at Ole Miss, but through things like through sport, through basketball my entire life. I grew up with the head coach of a girls basketball team. Grew up in that house with him. As a dad, he coached teams for 25 years down here on the coast. I've been fighting I call it disrespect and just awful how the fans, I mean, literally they would come in third quarter, start of the fourth, maybe halfway through the fourth quarter of my dad's games just to see the boys' game afterwards. And I cannot stand, and shame on the Ole Miss people who, y'all not even in school yet, are you correct?
We are in winter intersession, so some students are in school, but most of our students are not here.
Right. So they not even in school right now, but yet they managed to come and sell out both the boys' games. And had they not invited alumni and former staff members and former players all back for the women's game, it would have been empty Sunday, and that's a shame. And I understand, like you say, you got your Tennessees and your Connecticut's and your South Carolinas of the world that sell out every night, and you can make the argument, well, they're winning. Okay, yeah, that's fine, but hey, give us a chance. Come and support us, and maybe you will help that happen. Maybe you give the. I mean, I know if I was a player, I would walk out there on that floor and look around and think, okay, we just sat at both the men's games Thursdays and Saturday, because not Thursday but Saturday, the girls were there. I saw them on TV, some of the players. So we just sat at the game Saturday, watched the sellout crowd, enjoy the boys' game, and here we go to our game Sunday, and there's nobody here.
As a former player, I never really paid too much attention to the crowd. You notice them when they're there, but when they're not, you just kind of play. I never really thought so much about it, probably until I was a graduate assistant here at the University of Mississippi. It is what it is. people that enjoy basketball and good basketball will come and watch women play because they understand that it's almost a pure game than watching guys in the NBA and other stuff doing one-on-one and anticipating and waiting for people to dunk. I mean, it is what it is. You really can't be mad because they don't want to come see women play. I mean, we got. I don't go to see the boys play unless they play Florida.
Right.
And so you would hope that people are more basketball savvy and understand that, just because you're not going to see a dunk, you still going to see quality. Because if you watch the Florida game, whether you was a Florida fan yesterday or not, they were playing good basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't sloppy because I've seen some games where it just be like, oh, Lord, both of these teams, this is sloppy. It was good basketball, fun to watch, even though it was a blowout. If you're a student of the game, that is. Like, I was looking, they running a 2-2-1, and I'm paying attention. Now they dropping back. They doing whatever. Let me look at Ole Miss. They doing this dribble exchange. And anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's just because I know a little more about basketball.
Right. But, the casual fan that might not know as much as you or I mean, yeah, they're gonna come to games because for men because they know they're gonna see some dunks and they're gonna see all these spectacular plays. You can see just as many spectacular plays with the women. You might not see them above the rim, but below the rim, I mean, Elena Kristanaki, the passes she was making yesterday for Florida.
I agree, Galen. I heart Kristanaki.
I mean, she was impressive, and I've seen her a couple of times this year, and I really like her game. And I mean, Ronnie Williams for Florida, athletic. I mean, can jump out the gym. There's some greatness to be seen in women's game, and I just feel like people should give them more of a chance. And like I said, I've been fighting that since the day I was born, and I will fight it to the day I die.
Well, I would rather you choose your battles more carefully, but okay, you want to fight that.
Let's see. Moving on to the men's side of things. I think the SEC men, I think they're more wide open this year than ever. People might disagree. There might be some Kentucky fans out there listening to us to think, okay, no, it's still us and our roster of McDonald's All-Americans and then everybody else. But I mean, you got South Carolina, who right now is 15-0. Texas A&M 13-2. Florida, who just got through beating LSU this weekend, is 10-5. They got, they're probably not necessarily ready to compete for the SEC championship yet, but Mike White has them playing hard. Alabama's guys with Avery Johnson at the helm, I saw them play about a month ago, and I've seen them play a couple times on TV since. They're a team that has some pieces and plays very hard. LSU, Ben Simmons.
Mr. Simmons.
The future Laker.
Hope he become a Laker.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, you got Tennessee. Rick Barnes has got them playing hard at about 500 right now record wise, and so are Auburn with Bruce Pearl. I mean, there's a lot of teams in the SEC that I think could challenge. I don't think Kentucky is necessarily gonna walk through the conference this year. What do you think?
It's definitely. People always use the word parity. I don't know when the last time it haven't been parity in the men's game because Kentucky had the all the Americans and they would go on these long win streaks, but the rest of the world all had a chance. I'm just saying.
Oh, I know.
So the cream rise to the top. It's a matter of staying healthy and getting the guys to believe and buy in to what you're doing. Because, early games you be playing a lot of cupcakes and teams that they should be.
Right.
Now it's going to be time that they got to, buckle down. And like you said, with everybody being, having a chance to win, ain't no telling what's going to happen. Because even when Kentucky had had the super team, Ole Miss, they could have beat them that year that Moody had the whole cramp situation and couldn't come back in and all that crazy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so it ain't like Kentucky has been they hadn't been beat, but they had games where teams had opportunities to win. And with the girls, it's pretty wide open too. Because although you think South Carolina has it to lose, I think Florida, and I haven't seen enough people, but Mississippi State seem to have a good team. It's some people that can beat them.
Yeah,
I still don't trust South Carolina's guards.
No, I definitely believe on a neutral court, where the SEC tournament will be held. I think that it'll be down in Jacksonville this year. I'm trying to make a trip. By the way, if you want to get in on that, yeah.
Yeah, the word on the street is we'll talk about it off.
But no, Mississippi State is definitely a team that could challenge South Carolina. Florida, as I've seen them now about 4 or 5 times on TV, and they've looked impressive to me. They just beat Tennessee in Knoxville without their head coach just a couple of days before this Ole Miss game. And yeah, Tennessee, not necessarily the Tennessee of old, and I think Diamond DeShields pretty much shot them out of that game against Florida. But
who knows? That might have been our game plan. Is let Kobe shoot a bunch and stop the rest of them. And if Kobe can beat us, then Kobe can beat us.
Right. Yeah. So I think there's definitely a lot of Texas A&M. You always got to consider them with Gary Blair there. Let's see. Yeah, I think definitely, clearly South Carolina is right now at the top, being number 2 in the nation. But definitely State and Florida Florida won't be ranked 12th as their preseason rankings came out, and they were ranked 12th in the preseason.
Yeah, we better than that. And I'm mad that the coaches thought we weren't going to be any better than we are. But whatever.
They've already...
really? You think we're going to be worse than Ole Miss, who they had at 7?
With their win yesterday, the Gators are now with 14-2, which eclipsed last season's win total, altogether already. So maybe
that's what they went off of, last season's win total.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't see how you came up with that.
Yeah.
Because Ole Miss didn't have anybody coming back. You had Shandrika, but they were freshmen. You never know what can happen with them. And then Belleroux was gone, who was pretty much their lead. Well, I don't want to use the word leader too loosely, but their leading scorer. Right.
I think I was listening to some of Matt Ensel's comments after the game yesterday. He told a lot of truths. They are they're big freshman heavy. They started 2 freshmen yesterday. They got a lot of young players that they're playing right now, so they're gonna grow with that.
I don't believe that. I'm gonna tell you, he lying. He probably lying to himself, and he probably don't mean to be lying. But this is the problem with him that I see, in my humble opinion. He had opportunities last year to give freshmen more playing time so that they could have some experience for this year. Mm-hmm. I know as a coach, you are trying to win games for the season you're in, but somewhere along the way, you need some forethought and to say, yes, we need to win now, but I also need to think about the future. And either he doesn't like number 15, Kelsey Briggs, or maybe my eyes deceive me, but she's not getting enough playing time. And I've spoken to other people that have seen them play, and they like her. And it's just if she messes up, she comes out, or pretty much when she makes a mistake, she coming out. And then it was another kid that sat on the bench. Shandrika probably didn't. She played, but I don't know what he's doing. He want to shoot and run fast, but he don't have no inside game. And the one big close player guy, and I mean big in the nicest way, she can't run up and down the court like he want to run. And so at some point, you all right, when she come in, this is the style of play we're going to have.
Right.
But he really don't have no post presence. And I told you that from the beginning of the season. you got to have a rebounding defender at least in the post. You can't just not have any post presence. And he don't have any post presence. And so you want to shoot jumpers? Well, guess what? Most threes, long shot, long rebound. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been a head coach, assistant coach, none of that. But I've been coached well, and it's always true to form. Long shot, long rebound. Weak side board is like you can just earn a living over there.
Right.
And they don't seem to get to weak side. I mean, with Kara Ross and Renee and all them, we always did the little drill where, two people ran the weak side. I can't even think of it with the pass, like the coaches pass to the wing, and they ain't had no other choice but to shoot it. Like, it was like, you shoot the ball, the other two go on the weak side. It was just to get people used to going the weak side.
Yeah, if you'd have asked me that 10 minutes ago, I could have told you the name of that drill. But now that you done asked, it's slipped my mind. Because I've heard it so many times.
Subconsciously just go to weak side. Like, right. I do it now. If I play pickup, subconsciously I know pretty much the ball is coming off weak side. Or it's going to be short. Which more times than not, if it doesn't go in, it's going to bounce over to the other side. Long shots, long rebounds. You want to shoot a lot of threes, you can't be running up under the rim when you shoot long shots. Because the ball is not, unless they shoot air balls, pretty much most people don't shoot soft enough that the ball going to dink and go short.
Right.
Then you got kids that can't make layups. For every layup they missed, Florida made, and I wish I could look at points in the paint because Florida, they big girls was making the layups. When they guards would get in there, they would make theirs. I don't know what the coaching staff is doing as far as, teaching these kids. Because there's no way number 5 should continually, like her freshman year, actually she was a sophomore, but it was her first year here.
Right.
She missed a lot of wide open layups. She missed some yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're going. I'm not that concerned because, I love the Gators more than Ole Miss, but I do have love for Ole Miss, and I want them to find some kind of success, but I don't see it happening, Brian, because, again, he can talk about how young they are, but I don't see anybody getting better.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. Let's break it down this way. They lost by 20 yesterday. Missed 12 layups, and I think it was like maybe 10 of 25 from the free throw line. If you make half your layups and half of those free throws they missed,
you stay in the game.
They're right there in the game. As lopsided as that game seemed on TV, it's a whole different game if those two things happen. And as far as with Kelsey Briggs, you and I both said, we don't necessarily know what goes on behind closed doors. There might be something else to that as far as why she is not getting the playing time we both think she deserves. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if she leaves. She is rotting away on the bench.
I don't know. I know they got a top 20 recruiting class coming in with a bunch of post players supposedly. Top 20 recruiting classes, they look nice on paper, but they got to come in and produce, and they got to come in and they have to mature and get better each year. And
but with the post, I don't even see the post that they have getting better. Like the long, linky, and it ain't they size because Florida's posts are long and lean.
Right.
The times that Carol Ross and Renee and them and other teams, most posts are long and lean. You rarely find a big body, for women. And they don't box out well, which is, again, all that go back to coaching. I'm not saying that the coach is not doing it, but somewhere it's being lost in translation. Like, you don't see them box out well again. Not even just the guards. The post can get a rebound and put it up and throw it right over the rim.
Yeah, so going back to the layups missed, he did mention this in his post-game press conference. He talked about a drill that they do every day called basically, layup in traffic, where you got layup going up against people in traffic. He said that, literally every day they try this drill, the players don't take it seriously. They why we gotta do this drill? We don't like this drill. And he told them after the game day, he said, "See, you guys don't take that drill seriously. You don't go in it hard. You don't go in it with the mindset of of understanding and trying to get better at it. And here we go in today's game, and we miss 12 layups.
If the players, I don't know what kind of ship he's running. I ain't never had the option not to take it yourselves. When we did rebound outlet layup, although I didn't realize why we were doing it when I was a freshman or whatever, you just did it hard because that's what you were supposed to do if you wanted to play.
And if you didn't, you got on the line.
If you did the NBA, which was no babies allowed, it was a time where basically it was three of us out there on the floor. Coach Alden would shoot the ball. When you got the rebound, you could go straight up. You couldn't dribble. If you couldn't score, you had to pass it to another coach and they would reshoot it. But your teammates could foul.
Right.
Which made you go up strong. Because you wanted to get off the court, because after you made 2 shots, they would rotate you out.
Mm-hmm.
So you was going hard for the rebound, one, so it was making you learn how to rebound in traffic with 2 other people trying to keep you from getting the rebound. Then it was making you say, I'm going to score this layup when I get it because I want to get off this court.
Right.
That translates, and it's not that he told us that's what was happening at the time. I was just trying to get my 2 rebounds and put the ball back in so I could get out of drill.
Right.
The best machine in the world, the rebounder. That little orange machine where you can put the ball on top of the thing and then you snatch it down. And you know how the ball, it bounces back up if you don't snap it down hard enough. I think it's just called the rebounder.
I know what you're talking about.
I have been wanting to see that at the University of Mississippi. I mean, I don't know how long. That right there helped us learn how to go up and snatch. Because if you don't snatch the ball down, when the thing rebounds and pulls back up, it's going to knock it out your hand.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And most of the time we did it with the yellow ball, which is the heavy ball. You snatch that ball down, and it just teaches you stuff that muscle memory that you hear people say all the time, but muscle memory is real, folks.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you get out in the game, you're not thinking about it. It happens because that's what you have been doing so long that you don't have to think about, oh, that's why we were doing that drill before. It just happens. Fast gator layups. I think we started calling them something else when we went to, when the drill came to Ole Miss, where you had that 1 minute and it was just continuous, you running full sprint layups, and you learn how not to Kareem the ball off the backboard because you got to make however many layups or you running.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, they got a lot to figure out. And like you said, again, I keep going back to his press conference. He made the comment. He said that, you know, the game doesn't get me down. He's going to move on. By tomorrow, he'll have a plan for Texas A&M when they go to College Station in a couple of days. I mean, in the SEC, there's no rest. I mean, they got a heck of an upcoming schedule with Texas A&M, South Carolina State. I mean, they got a tough
stretch. I get
stretch.
that, but if you saying stuff like they don't want to do drills or whatever, it sounds like you don't have buy-in. And whether they freshmen and you don't have some senior to lead them or whatever, you got some upperclassmen on the team. Yeah. So if you don't have buy-in, that's part of you, which you should have been trying to get before the SEC season.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see where it all goes from here. But that's going to take us to our next break. When we come back, we'll get into a little talk about the Golden Globes, and Lip Sync Battle has made its return, as well as a little talk about the Powerball Lottery climbing to over $1 billion. Go out and get your tickets now for Wednesday's drawing. We get into that and much more on the other side. This is the Mackay T Show.
What time is it? What time is it?
Welcome back to the Mackay T Show podcast. Golden Globes, the 73rd annual Golden Globes, were held last night. Really, I only wrote down 2 significant, as far as with us, significant awards, because All the other winners, I know you and I have not seen any of the movies or shows. So, as far as the best performance by an actress in a TV series or drama, Taraji P. Henson won for her role as Cookie in Empire. And she, as she's coming down to the stage, she's passing out cookies to everybody. She gets to the stage and gets about, like I said, about 10 words into her speech. And they start telling her to wrap it up on the teleprompter. She looks dead at the teleprompter and goes into full cookie mode and says, "Wrap it up. Oh no, I waited on this for 20 years. You wait. You gonna wait." And Sylvester Stallone won for best supporting role in a movie or drama for his role in Creed.
Creed, okay.
He lit Twitter on fire after he neglected to mention Michael B. Jordan, who played Apollo Creed's son in the movie Creed, and the director, I can't remember his name, both being African American. So that pretty much had Twitter on fire last night. But he did actually come back after the fact and in the back and make a statement about how he got caught up in the moment. Just was kind of in his mind he didn't have a speech. He didn't have anything he was reading off of, and in his mind just trying to make sure he got as many people as he could.
I was about to say, I don't think he was being malicious.
He did, no. And I think people on Twitter overreacted. They overreacted to that. I don't think he did it, and you could tell he was very sincere about being upset that he forgot about them in his speech. But I think that was definitely an overreaction by social media.
That's what
it happens.
I see Best Motion Picture Animated Inside Out. It was great.
Oh yeah, I definitely liked Inside Out. I forgot about that one. But let's see. Moving on to lip sync battle. Channing Tatum took on his wife Jenna Dewan-Tatum, who is most notable for her role in Step Up, the movie Step Up, which she co-starred with Channing. The first song was Jenna Dewan-Tatum doing Cold Hearted Snake by Paula Abdul, of which she got to eventually dance with Paula Abdul as Paula Abdul came out and danced the song with her. I thought she did a very good job, and she dressed head to toe like Paula Abdul would dress, and of course Paula Abdul came out the same way. Jenna Dewan can dance. I mean, clearly she was in the Step Up movie.
She's all over the place when she's doing the striptease with her husband.
So, I mean, she can dance. So, it wasn't no surprise. And obviously, all you gotta do is move your lips.
Right, you ain't gotta dance.
Channing Tatum's first round song was Let It Go by Idina Menzel, which is most notably from the Frozen soundtrack. He came out there with a full blonde wig and looked just like the little princess from Frozen.
I can't take that. I can't take this. Because I'm seeing him doing Who Run the World with this wig on. And this, I can't take this. Go ahead.
So as T is just ruining T is just constantly going on stuff that I ain't talked about yet. Let's move on to the second round. Let's see. Jenna Dewan-Tatum did a Magic Mike-esque routine to Pony by Genuine, which she eventually did a striptease and lap dance on her husband in the middle of the song.
She killed it too.
And you think, okay, they might as well. I don't know why they didn't put that last. They might as well have put it last because she has won this competition. There's no way Channing Tatum can outdo her. Then Channing Tatum comes out once again. I think he's got a cross-dressing fetish because he comes out in another blonde wig and he's got a little skirt on, and then Run the World by Beyonce starts playing.
I'm proud of makeup.
And he was Channing Tatum is a good-looking woman. He does his Run the World by Beyonce, and I mean he's right there step for step how she does in her little video.
Of course he cheated because here comes Beyonce.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right. And all of a sudden here comes Queen Bee herself, and they finish off the song together, and Jenna
Yeah,
Dewan.
it's bad. Okay, y'all people, y'all gotta go YouTube before that one.
Yeah,
It's hilarious.
Jenna Dewan-Tatum sees this happen, and she passes out from just the excitement, and I mean, clearly everyone was excited. The crowd went nuts. So yeah, now we see why they let him close out the show and not her. But in the first ever, in the tradition of lip sync battle, you know, there's always a winner. But this one came down, and they let it be. They let it be, a co-winners. They gave it to both of them. But
they gonna take it home anyway. So
yeah, it's going to the same house anyway, so might as well be co.
It's okay. She was killing it when she was doing Tony.
Yeah, she pulled it all out.
I mean, all.
I mean, I had my mouth wide open the whole episode.
She's a way better dancer than I would have imagined.
Yeah, she got it all out there. But in world news, the Powerball Lottery has climbed to over $1 billion. It's right now at 1.3, which is a record, and it's projected to be at 1.5 or maybe even greater by the time Wednesday's drawing gets here. I'm gonna go get my ticket.
Whoever win that live to have a heart attack.
Listen, I'm going to get my ticket today.
I thought it was Wednesday that they play.
Oh, I know, but I'm making sure I get my ticket. I'm going today.
Man, that is crazy. I ain't in nowhere that I can get now.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Mississippi too prim and proper to sell lottery tickets because that's gambling. Really, Mississippi?
Yeah, they honestly, this is what I say to Mississippi and Alabama and the rest of the states that don't go with the lottery. Have you not seen the news of all the long, ridiculous lines at all these gas stations, all this money being made for the states?
Yes, because Tennessee, Georgia, a lot of these places, they can have scholarships based on lottery money.
I mean,
for education.
You could do yourself a favor, and God knows my state, bless his heart, it needs as much money as it can get.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Why did stay prim and proper? Because y'all better than that, apparently.
It's all right. I'm gonna win that. That $600 million cash.
Can I come and be your
that cash out I get after taxes?
Right, I'm be your chauffeur.
It's all right. We listen. As soon as that happens, BMAC Productions gonna be a non-profit. It's gonna quickly turn into a non-profit organization. So I think that's gonna wrap up our show for today. As always, I am your co-host Brian Mackay, and I am with.
It is great to be a Florida Gator today. And God still answers prayer, people.
What time is it?
All right. What time is it? The Mackay T Show podcast. Thank you for listening.
This is the Mackay T Show. This is the Mackay T Show. We talk movies and TV shows, sports and world news, coasting like on a world cruise. Hosted by Brian Mackay and T Davis. Yeah. You can't tame us. We're going to the top, we're becoming famous.
What time is it?
It's time for the Mackay T Show.
What time is it?
I said it's time for the Mackay T Show.